Welcome, everybody. Good morning. John Zager. Sunday morning at 10 minutes to 7 Mountain Standard Time. How is everyone? It's pretty nice here. It's a cool night last night on the eastern slope. No rain, no thunder showers, no damage from hail. Yay. And today is supposed to be another day just like that. Maybe a shower, but nothing severe like it was a couple days ago. So I wanted to do another YouTube video, trying to do these every day, trying to talk about, I don't know, I guess some pretty important stuff that doesn't seem to go away, and wanting to address it, hoping that I can get a big enough audience. I'd like to get 1,000 people. That would be great. And have people interacting with each other about some of these topics and issues. They're neuroscience. Neuroscience, of course, is the brain and the nervous system and how they connect, right? But I'm having a hard time getting 1,000 people. I'm not sure that I'm reaching enough people, or maybe the topic's just not of interest to people. I'm not real clear about that. I'm not going to assume the worst, but it doesn't seem to grow, and there can be various reasons for that. If you know anybody who wants to get involved in kind of a healing process, how to self-heal, and the goings-on of neuroscience and why we do the things we do, I mean, tell them to contact me, tune in to all the various places that I do. I'm doing YouTube, of course, every day, and podcasts, which are on iHeartRadio and Spreaker and everywhere. Those are done every day. And then I'm blogging twice a day. One short one and one rather lengthy blog. Today I wanted to talk about, there's a there's a fair amount of people who seem to have sicknesses and ill health, traumas, difficulties, struggles, disease, unemployment, homelessness. It kind of goes on and on and on. And we all get it that that's part of life, right? Not all of that, but some of those things are just part of life that occurs. And what I'm talking about are the people who seem to attract the difficulties. There's a lot of people that are homeless and out of work. And why do they stay homeless, and why do they stay out of work? I've gotten some very specific answers to that, which is also part of the answer, but I've had 1, 2, 3 people contact me back and say, why even bother with them? Why even struggle to help them? Why offer any assistance, any education, any training? why do anything? They're just negative energy. I'm not negative energy. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to help them. Well, that speaks a lot um, for maybe why they're in the position they're in. Think of the families of these individuals that just let them wander out into the desert, so to speak, right? And they've made little or no attempt to rescue them. We all know stories about people who they had families at one point in time and they became disenchanted for whatever reason, and they eventually became homeless and unemployed and kind of bitter and angry and sour, and life went on and got worse and worse. But my question is, what happened to the families? Why did the families say at that point in time, well, we've tried to help he or she. I've tried to reach out. That's not an answer. That's an excuse. And the reality is that, they just don't want to deal with that. That's that person's problem. They're an adult. They can take care of themselves. If they choose to be homeless or whatever, so be it. That's harmful to take that approach. Are we supposed to go rescue every single person out there? Well, probably not. Probably we're not going to walk around on the planet and try to save everybody. But here's what happens is that if you take that attitude, we now know where your family member who is maybe homeless acquired that attitude from, right? It's kind of a thing that was passed on through beliefs and perceptions. So, I guess I have some concerns about that. The people who are resisting offering a hand, and again, here's an interesting thing, interesting tidbit. Maybe that family member or members reached out and tried to help, and the person was receptive to that. But because they didn't jump through the hoops they wanted them to, they rejected them and sent them back out. Follow that? Everybody follow that? We sometimes set up the individuals who are struggling to struggle more because we really don't want to deal with it. And if they're not going to do it exactly the way that we want them to do it, we will cast them back out into the sea. I have a friend, and during my homeless time, the friend was willing to participate in seeing if I could, do better and get back on track, so to speak, which was a wonderful, wonderful thing. And the offer to, stay here and there and cover a couple expenses was very important at the time. And then the agenda came out. Boy, this is just so sad, and it happens quite a bit, but the agenda came out, and the agenda was I've got somebody parking next to me. I hope they don't make a whole lot of noise. You have to do it our way. This is what we would like you to do. We want you to move into this little space with this other person who is also struggling, and take the $8-9 an hour job and get back on track. Well, that's matter changing matter. That's you trying to do things the Newtonian way, which has to do with just, it's going to take forever and ever and ever. And when you say to the person, I don't think that's working out real well for me, or, I'm not really feeling comfortable with that, they get upset and they get angry and they cast you back out into the sea. And again, the whole cycle starts on again. So science, neuroscience, says that we end up in the predicaments we end up in because of our thinking, our thoughts, and our emotions, perceptions, and things like that. When you look at people on both sides of the coin, the people that are out there that are, in a lot of cases, angry and bitter and resentful, and some are hostile, and they've kind of given up and thrown in the towel and whatnot. That's their thoughts and their thinking and their emotions and perceptions of life and people and governments and whatnot that keep them stuck in that rut. And they don't ever get the education or the training to understand there's a better way to deal with all that stuff so that the process can stop. Likewise, on the other side, there's the families and the people who want to help, but they're short-minded. They have anger and bitterness and resentment and different negative emotions and thinking, right, that keep them stuck in their lives of stress. If you're not going to do it my way, this isn't going to happen at all. Well, all that does is attract disease to those people. So in turn, what we end up having is sickness and disease on both sides, from the homeless type people out on the streets, which are creating problems for society, and then the people who drive around. This guy who parked next to me is in a white Mercedes, and when he appears to be in the wrong place, based on where I'm at anyway. But there are the people who have the attitudes and the thoughts and the emotions that why would I want to help people that are in lack? Why can't they be like me? Well, are those people not attracting their own diseases and ill health and sicknesses and struggles in their life? And are they no different than the people that are out on the street? So, the coffee's cold this morning. The lady, I think, pulled the pot that had not been on the hot burner, or the hot burner was not turned on. um, Sometimes in the morning they forget to turn all the heating burners on to warm stuff up. So I'd kind of like to have you all think about what I just talked about and why people are sick and struggling on both sides. Trust me, if you're driving a white Mercedes as nice as this, your life is not as nice as it might appear. You know what I mean? So there's people on both sides, and they're not always sure why they're there. So anyway, have yourselves a good day. I'm looking forward to the rest of mine. I've got a lot of things to do, and I'm pretty excited about it. Things are always going to change for the better. We have to keep thinking that and believing that. And it's important for us not to allow the negative thinking, thoughts, and emotions to creep in. Things do change. The universe does have control over a lot of it. And based on how we approach things, determine the outcomes. As always, I'm self-employed, and if you can send your pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters to my PayPal account, that's jzegar@gmail.com, jzegar@gmail.com. That does make a difference, and it does make a difference, you guys, because the people who are employed and doing well and whatever, good for them, and congratulations, and I'm happy for that.